Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is your boy, the Bengal Dragon. Make sure to hit like, subscribe, and that bell notification buttons, as all your support really helps this legally blind YouTuber remain motivated to continue making a different type of videos in this channel and through the YouTube algorithms, which really help this channel grow. Listen, man, I'm gonna do this in one take. I'm actually getting ready to record the rest of my major project video, but this morning I came across some rather unfortunate news. And this is pro wrestling related. Uh, it seems that the wrestler Terry Brunk, who goes by the name or who used to go by the name Sabu, has recently passed away, and I'm seeing this blow up all over social media. And like one of my friends actually, got to meet him in person. I don't know if he was the same time with him in the ring, but from what I could gather, definitely at least, perhaps had a conversation with him. But for people who are unaware of my past, my past content I used to put on this channel and whatnot, obviously, there's a time, thing around COVID or something, or maybe a little before that, I went through this rebranding phase. That's why, you don't see my rap material out there anymore. You don't see my wrestling material out there anymore. Um, the rap material, I might, put maybe one or two of it back. I don't know. I'm not fully decided on that yet, but the wrestling content, I used to be a lot more regular with it. And one of my wrestling heroes was Sabu. Okay. In fact, I was a little sad that there was a point in 2013, 12, 13, something like that. Because this is when I was back in the UK, right? We had a bunch of pro wrestling legends actually try to train us. One of them was Kid Cash. Okay, and well, like, all of them were ECW alumni. Okay, one of them was Kid Cash. I went to his training sessions. I think two of them. Uh, in fact, okay, this is the me and Kid Cash had a conversation. For those who know it, they know what the content of this conversation was. But that's maybe for another video or whatnot. But the other person, the classes I could not attend, one of them was Tommy Dreamer, and the other one was Sabu. And I was particularly sad that I could not attend the Sabu class because I had to do something else because at that time I was still a student at the University of Leeds and the University of Bradford. So, oh no, yeah, at the University of Bradford, yeah, I remember I was doing a master's, yeah, and yes, it was actually part of the conversation. But see, I got introduced to Sabu basically through TNA. This is back when I was in Abu Dhabi, and we used to get a lot of these random sports channels from the other Gulf countries. One of them was called Kuwait Sports. And Kuwait Sports used to always run these NWA TNA shows, as well as, SmackDown when they used to do the Velocity show. And that's where I first got introduced to, the Flying Elvises, got introduced to AJ Styles, Jerry Lynn, that whole feud, Ken Shamrock becoming the first NWA world champion and whatnot. Okay. And that's where I got introduced to Sabu, his feud with Malice and everything. Right. And after that, retroactively, over the years, and especially after the first ECW One Night Stand, because before that, I'll be honest, I did not know what ECW was. I thought it was a smaller promotion. I knew they existed, WCW and ECW, and I've seen a few clips of WCW, but I've hardly ever seen any clips of ECW, considering the country I was in and how restricted everything was, and even how censored things were. Because, bro, okay, let me give you an example. There was a match between AJ Styles and, the match between Jerry Lynn and someone. Except for the last move, a lot of Hurricane Ranas, DDTs, a lot of moves where they fell on their head, okay? the Kuwait sports people, they cut away to random uh, audience members just cheering random things. Okay, they only allowed the final, cradle pile driver to be aired. The one that Jerry Lynn kind of botched, and it botched it so much that there's hardly, like, you can tell the person's head was like maybe 8 or 9 inches off the ground, so there was nothing to censor there. So, like I said, in that environment, I did not know about ECW until I came across ECW One Night Stand 2005. And this is like, when we found ways to acquire stuff. Okay, ECW One Night Stand. I'm like, wait a minute, this is ECW? This is actually pretty good. Okay, so after that, retroactively, I went back and saw some of the ECW matches, and man, I still remember that audio file that I acquired, the Sabu versus Terry Funk barbed wire match. Like, and I remember that there's a spot where, like, Sabu went for the stinger splash in the corner and he cut his arm. Okay, and Joey Styles is because Sabu ended up taping his bicep, because the story is that Sabu was looking, I think, at Bill Alfonso. Okay, like, he's like, yo, help me out here, I'm bleeding. Like, what am I supposed to do? And Bill Alfonso, like, I don't know, I can't help you. So, like, he taped it up with athletic tape, right? Okay, and then Joey Styles goes like, he's taping it up with athletic tape. He's taping it up with athletic tape. This man is insane, because this is all for the ECW World Title. That's how much it means to him. I'm like, yo, man, that is some good ad-libbing commentary right there. But yeah, this is before I saw Sabu's barbed wire match in TNA, and like, through that exposure, I really started to like Sabu. In fact, this is like, back in the day, I mean, I actually wrote my only hard copy fan mail letter to Sabu. Okay, I call him, he has a PhD in hardcore wrestling. That time he was different. But still, going through some of his interviews, I won't say PhD, but he was very knowledgeable about wrestling. Very, very knowledgeable about, the type of story you are trying to tell through, your charisma and athletics. See, Sabu, he mentioned something that his uncle told him, that he had this ability to get the crowd cheering his name without him speaking a single word. And this was the thing about Sabu, like, he had this gift. It was about his persona. It was about how he sold. It was about how he carried himself. It was about what he did in the ring. His character does not speak, yet his character is very over. This is why, like, a lot of times, if they ever tried to make Sabu a heel, I don't recall, extended periods of time where Sabu was a heel. But if they ever tried that, it would never work, because Sabu was organically over as a face, man. So yeah, he wrestled his last match, I think, in April last month, and that's why it was a shock that he passed away. I mean, in the modern day and age, I will have to say this so quickly, but then again, this is the wrestling business. Say what you want about people not liking each other, people, not performing as well. The wrestling business is still something where people put their bodies on the line, where people basically punish themselves in a simulated combat scenario for the purposes of entertainment. So in that regard, yeah, it is something to be respected. And maybe I've said this before, but I'll say it again. The modern day Sabu is Jeff Hardy. The modern day Sabu. This tells you something, that there will never be another Sabu. And I hope there is not another Sabu, because good Lord, the type of punishment that man endured in the ring for entertainment purposes, like, in the end, you don't want people to go through that. You don't want people to damage themselves so much that, the recovery process actually takes, a lot out of you and decreases your lifespan. Yes, the body has a repair mechanism. This is even in smoking and whatnot. The body does have a repair mechanism, but that repair mechanism isn't always that robust. At one point, that repair mechanism itself will start to falter and whatnot. And even that repair, that repairing system, it comes at a price. So this is why, like, Sabu's wrestling style, like, yeah, it sort of, I would say was an influence to, his early demise, but still, man, very, very entertaining memories of Sabu, man. I remember I used to call my friend who used to live like, 65 miles away from me, okay, just so that he can come to my house and we could watch Sabu matches. So, like I said, Sabu is one of my wrestling heroes, man. Anyways, very sad loss. Rest in peace. This one's for you, sir. This is your boy Tanveer Said, the Bengal Dragon, signing out.